Let's travel to the southern part of Egypt, particularly in Aswan, where there is an island called Philae. Although Philae was a small island, it is one of the most picturesque in all of Egypt. Philae Temple, or otherwise known as the Temple of Isis, located in one of the most important monumental sites in Aswan, the Nubian city. It was a rocky island that was called in hieroglyphic Apo, which means ivory. It is located 12 kilometers south of Aswan on Agilkia Island, downstream of Aswan High Dam and Lake Nasser. It was originally located near the expansive first cataract of the Nile in Upper Egypt, but it was relocated to nearby Agilkia Island as part of the UNESCO Nubia Campaign Project. The temple became in danger after the completion of the Aswan Low Dam in 1902 that led to the rise of the water levels, causing the entire temple to be flooded and possibly submerged and lost in time. In 1960, the temple was submerged up to its third in water due to the Aswan High Dam, so the UNESCO started a rescue mission to save this immortal piece of art by relocating it to a new location. It was a sacred site as an ancient pilgrimage center for the cult of Isis. This amazing temple was reopened in 1980. Philae, Abu Simbel, and other nearby ruins were collectively designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. The temple was built between 380 and 362 BC by King Ptolemy II and enlarged by various kings from the Ptolemaic era and was completed in around 690 AD. So it is considered to be the last of the ancient temples constructed in the classical Egyptian style. It was built to honor the goddess Isis and serves as an amazing example of the cult that was built around the story of Isis and Osiris. The Temple of Philae was considered to be the most sacred temple among the whole ones by both Egyptians and Nubians people. So this is because god Osiris was buried on the island where the temple stood. Priests were the only ones who were permitted to dwell there. Even fish and other aquatic animals never approached the shores of the island. The walls of the temples at Philae are covered in ancient hieroglyphs. Amongst the large carvings of the gods of ancient Egypt are the inscriptions in the ornate pictorial alphabet telling the stories of this civilization. Traveling around Egypt, you see a lot of hieroglyphs, but there is something special about the ones at Philae. They were the last to be written by the ancient Egyptians. This is the oldest temples on the island and was built by the last pharaoh, who was actually Egyptian Nectanebo II, who died in 343 BC. His successor was Macedonian, part of the Ptolemaic dynasty that began with the death of Alexander the Great and ended with the death of Cleopatra. Although they were Macedonian or Greek, this new dynasty was clever enough to realize that it would only be able to rule Egypt if the leaders seemed to be Egyptian. And so they dressed like Egyptians, worshipped the Egyptian gods, and built their monuments in the Egyptian style. Philae is dedicated to Isis, the goddess of motherhood, magic, and fertility. The cult of Isis at Philae goes back to the 7th century BC, but the earliest remains date from the 4th century BC, and Isis was being worshipped at Philae until the 6th century AD. Isis, one of the most important goddesses of ancient Egypt. Her name is the Greek form of an ancient Egyptian word for throne. Isis had strong links with Egyptian kingship. The priests of Heliopolis, followers of the sun god Re, developed the myth of Isis. Married to Osiris, king of Egypt, Isis was a good queen who supported her husband and taught the women of Egypt how to weave, bake, and brew beer. But Seth was jealous and he hatched a plot to kill his brother. Seth trapped Osiris in a decorated wooden chest which he coated in lead and threw into the Nile. The chest had become Osiris' coffin. Transforming into a beard, Isis was able to discover and reunite the parts of her dead husband's body. Only his penis was missing. Using her magical powers, she was able to make Osiris a mummy. 9 months later, she bore him a son named Horus.